stress. So what I tell everybody is talk to your animals, give them information. Animals crave it just like we do. If you're going to go to the vets, tell them that they're going there. Tell them what's going to happen. If they're going to stay overnight, show them an image of you coming to greet them the next day, putting that leash on their collar or putting the cat in the carrier, getting back in the car, and then arriving back home. And you do that by showing them images. It makes a world of difference because then the animal knows, I now know what's going to happen to me. Because otherwise they could be fearing that they're being abandoned and left there. So this happened with a client of mine. They had a cat that was soiling underneath the coffee table for 10 years. They finally decided to call. They had just found out about animal communication. And they said, Carol, this has been happening for a long time. We need help. And we think that she's angry when we leave on vacation because that's the only time it happens. So I talked to her. Her name was Raspberry. And I said, Raspberry, your family feels that you're angry when they leave on vacation, and that's why you soil on the table. And her answer to me was, oh, no, I'm not angry. I'm scared. And then I said, you are? About what? And she said, I'm afraid that they'll never come home, that they won't come back. I didn't know how to resolve that, so I asked her, and I said, well, what do you need in order to change that behavior? She said, I need to know when they're going and when they're coming back, and that this is my family forever. I said, that's it? She said, yeah. So, and this was her concern because she had been abandoned prior in past.
This sounds so wild. You can't imagine how wild this sounds.
But it happens. It's real.
I know.
It's real. It's unbelievable. So anyway, I tell the family this, and of course, so I tell the family, okay, if you're leaving for Thanksgiving, you've got to tell her you're going to be gone for 4 days. They know time. So tell her, I'm going to be gone for 4 days. And then you project an image of you coming back through the front door with your suitcase and that you're going to be returning. So, of course, they felt a little bit weird of doing this. And I said, but what do you have to lose? You have everything to gain. So they did. They talked to her out loud and said, we're going to be leaving for 4 days. We're coming back on Sunday, 4th day. And did their, projecting the images. They called me up and said, Carol, she never soiled.
Wow.
She didn't soil. But maybe this is a coincidence. I said, yes, in 10 years it's a coincidence, but that's okay. So they left for 2 weeks, Christmas time. Guess what? She never soiled another day in her life.
That's amazing.
I look at that and I go, it's really, it amazes me. It just amazes me that they have the ability to change their behavior overnight. Overnight. Where we sometimes, it takes us 30 years to get over something.
There's a very well-known biologist and writer named Rupert Sheldrake with the morphogenic field. And I know you're not talking about the morphogenic field right now, but in a sense, actually everything you're saying is proving that telepathy not only exists, but that it works.
Oh, absolutely.
Totally works. That communication is going on whether you actually speak the words or not. My other question to you is, you know how animals can tell when you're coming home?
Yeah.
And they run down the stairs or they run to something like that. Now, sometimes it's because they hear that car, but a lot of times they just know and they're running down. Mm-hmm. Sometimes you have adults that don't like animals and they project mean-spirited, negative emotions toward those animals. And then they say that the animals don't like them. Talk about that to kids for a moment, for any kids that might be listening, because some children and adults project distaste for certain animals that they decide they don't like. And then they can't understand why the animal doesn't then like them.
Well, what happens is those remember, if they can remember that animals are feeling beings. They respond to our feelings and our energy that we are putting out. So and thoughts, because they're telepathic. So if they put out negative thoughts, that animal, it repels them. It's like putting bug spray out there. It's like you're spraying bug spray from your body to repel the animal from you. The animal wouldn't want to go up to you if you are feeling badly about them. So it's like a radar screen. And so if you just give the animal a chance, maybe what they could do is change those impressions, change those feelings,
Even to test projecting different things to the animal. I mentor a 15-year-old boy who I've taken an interest in, and this is what's going on. I say to him, project positive things toward this cat. He goes, I hate that cat. I don't care if that cat dies or not. I hate that cat. It's just an example, and I say, well, until you start projecting positive things toward this cat's not going to like you and going to be afraid of you.
Yeah, yes, that definitely will respond that way because they have no other way of responding, to that individual. So say, for instance, if I know a chiropractor used to tell me, Carol, every time I meditate, all my animals come and want to be around me. And I said, well, who else wouldn't want to be? You're taking that time to feel good about yourself, to sit deeply and relaxed, and animals will come and surround you. So if the child could experiment with that and just have lovely thoughts, change the thinking and see what response do you get from the animal. Do a little test for yourself.
I got another cat about a year and a quarter ago, and ever since she had her ovaries taken out, she's been swiping and swatting and agitated a lot. It's a new cat, obviously. It can't be the same relationship I had with my other one, Simba, but just as an example, I play a lot with her. I take her out with me. She will not be put on a leash by any means. Of course, getting a cat on a leash is a whole other thing, but just for their protection. The reality is she is kind of kooky. But I accept that. But I always tell her I love her. And I always play with her, but that part of her just doesn't shift. I think you cannot expect changes in an animal if they're living in an environment where they know one of the people in that environment does not like it.
Well, here's what happens, too, is those negative thoughts, because animals are feeling beings, if they're pretty intense, as I said, they're like a radar, like you're spraying bug, it actually feels like the animal's being hit. You don't actually need to touch the body of an animal for them to feel it in their body. An actual thought, and pretty intense, can actually feel like you just hit an animal. That's how sensitive they are. So, yeah.
That's a very important thing for people to know, that animals pick up everything we think and feel about them and what's going on in our environments.
Yeah, and here's an example. Because what happens is animals will reflect our behavior, what's going on internally with us, things that we are not dealing with, things that we are not nurturing about ourselves, aspects of ourselves that we're not nurturing. This can happen a lot. So just like that cat, here's a situation, a client calls me because her dog will go on attack mode when she is in a room with people and the dog is there. If you remove her from the room, the dog is fine with the other people. If she comes back into the room, the dog goes on the attack mode to the other people. Now, they were adopting a baby and wanted to make sure that he wouldn't go after the baby. So when I talked to the dog, I couldn't get anything. There was no response. And I thought, oh my gosh, what happened to my abilities? I just, I lost them. Where'd they go? And so when we talked, I told her that I didn't think I could help her, but we started talking about how she is in her social life. And basically the bottom line was, she said, Carol, I'm quite uncomfortable around people. I said, well, how uncomfortable do you get? And she said, I feel like I could get hurt by people. And the light bulb went on, and she said to me, oh my gosh, this isn't about my dog, is it? It's about me. She has an innermost fear of being hurt by people. Well, animals are feeling beings. The animal feels that raw emotion of people hurting her, and what does the animal do? The animal loves her. So he's going to keep and push the people away from her so that they won't hurt her.
So how does a client like that deal with that type of situation? What is her out to get this animal to be peaceful?
And it has nothing, well, see, the out is her.
That's the paradox.
Yeah, the out is there's nothing wrong with the animal. Now, they have muzzled the animal for 8 years to deal with it. Now, and she said, this is me then. I said, yes, and that's what I'm finding out. When animals can't tell us or they can't tell us much, it's really my clue to look to the family that there is something going on. The animal is